Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. YCS Dortmund just concluded with Ishizu tier limit again taking first place, even though we did see it go up against Flunder, so it wasn't a mirror match, but in top 8 there was 7 Ishizu tier limits and only 1 Flunder player, and even though they did manage to make it to the finals, they ultimately lost there. So still we are in a very much Ishizu dominated meta. We're going to go over the deck breakdown, top 64, like all of the breakdowns, a couple deck lists, and just recap everything. So before that, I just want to quickly shout out my Patreons. I'm very much thankful for your guys' support. And if any of you want to support me over there, you're always able to check the link in the description below. So looking at the deck breakdown first, there's 28% Ishizu tier limits. So again, it has the highest representation, but some other decks did manage to have a high enough number to actually be included in this pie chart with its specific name and not just in the other categories. So we have Sprite, Flunder, Branded Despia, Exo-Sister, tier limit again goes together with tier limits, I would say, and then Draco Slayer. So just looking at this, those are a couple of the decks that I actually also mentioned in my top 5 decks against Ishizu video. So if you haven't checked that one out, make sure to check it out. But yeah, basically those are the top contenders against the Ishizu deck. All of them have something going for them. They are able to play the Bestios, which are able to counter Ishizu tier limits. They also don't lose to Bestios being played by the Ishizu tier limit decks. And yeah, just overall, they are quite strong, maybe not at the power level of Ishizu tier. You know, Flunder, Exo-Sister also have the ability to run D-Shifter. Even Draco Slayer, the top 16 decklist we're gonna check out, they did side it. So again, you know, just they are top contenders right now, pretty much. So it's cool to see that it's not completely dominated by Ishizu tier. But then looking over the top 64 representation, so we have 71% Ishizu tier. Pretty much it is a tier 0 format with Ishizu tier taking up more than 65% representation, which is like the threshold of when the format is considered tier 0. But again, we have the same, almost the same decks as before. We have Flunder, Sprite, and Draco Slayer, but we do have Naturia Runic, which we're gonna go over because it's very, very interesting. And we have a couple Mystic Mine focus decks with Mystic Mine Burn and with Mystic Mine Runic, so the pure Runic stuff, but we also have Madolche. So we did see Madolche on stream, and Madolche just seems like a nice contender that came out of nowhere almost right now in this meta. It's able to utilize the Vernosylph stuff, which is really nice in tandem with the Madolche stuff. They're also able to search Necro Valley together with Butler. There's just a lot of things that the deck is able to do right now, and also it's like one of the older decks. Maybe people aren't that prepared for it, or maybe they don't really know what it does. Now, looking at another breakdown with top 16, we don't have that many decks represented anymore. There's Flunder, there's obviously Ishizu tier, and there's also Draco Slayer. So for the Draco Slayer player, I think all of us were rooting, like it would be so cool to see Draco Slayer actually take this event, but they did pretty much lose in top 16. Still very nice showing for the deck. I do think it's one of the best contenders, especially moving forward when inevitably the top decks get hit. I think it has a ton of potential. And also Flunder, like I said, one of them did manage to get to the finals, not just the top 8 or top 4. We're also going to go over the deck list when it comes to the Draco Slayer deck. For the most part, it's very standard when you compare some Draco Slayer lists to each other. They did play a lot of field spell stuff, looking at terraforming, set rotation, as well as Mystic Mine, obviously Sky Iris and Necro Valley, and you are also able to search those field spells, so it makes a lot of sense to play right now. Also, Talent seeing a lot of play in this format. They did opt to not go for the Scythe lock or Dagda in the extra deck, but they did go for a Morphage slot. So again, it's a lock that you need to get rid of pretty much. It's not just for one turn. They do have enough space for Bestios as well, Kashtira, all of them acting as hand traps, going second card, so you're able to go second a bit easier, which might be a slightly bit tougher in the Pendulum deck. There's also Shifter in the side, like I mentioned, and in the extra deck, everything is pretty much standard. Going over the Xyz monsters, as you're going to be able to see in the Naturia Runic deck as well, there's this recurring theme of people running Abyss Dweller and Baguska. Dweller is just there for the Ishizu tier matchup, and Baguska for the Flunder matchup. Also Zeus, a very, very nice card right now if you're able to trigger Dweller first to prevent anything from activating in the graveyard and then just wipe the field. It's also so strong right now. So looking over the Naturia Ishizu deck, a couple things that the player mentioned when I was listening to the deck profile, they said that the runic stuff is basically there so it protects your monsters. It's Basically, I would consider it like a backbone to the deck, making it just a bit stronger. They said it's not that cool with the Vernusov stuff, so they opted for the Runic engine. You're able to go for a ton of different synchro monsters in the extra deck, with the levels being different when it comes to your fusion monsters, when it comes to your Bishios, just a couple different things you're able to do with Camellia being a tuner. Overall, looking at the Nunaturia support, it's insane. It has so much potential. And just like I said, you know, the extra deck, you have so many things accessible to you, and you can choose whichever one you want in the correct situation. You have access to Chenging, you have access to the rank 4 Xyz monsters like we mentioned before, there's Naturia Beast, there's Baron, there's just a lot of things. And they decided to go for Herald of Orange Light and Agido in the side deck, specifically in the side because they said that they don't play that many fairies in the main deck to justify playing Herald. Also, Agido, it's not that great when you're up against Ishizu tier. You probably never want to mill your opponent's deck actually, although they also mentioned that with Runic Tip, you're actually able to check the matchup you're up against when you banish their top card of the deck. So again, some kind of advantage to you is always nice. So with that, we're going to be ending this video. Let me know if you maybe went, like, how was the experience? Did anything interesting happen? Or maybe just if you watched it, what did you think? What did you think of the stream, the decks, the format overall? I would love to hear all of your guys' thoughts. And if you like this video, of course, like it, sub to the channel, check out all the social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.